After nearly 8 years of drug addiction, Michael De Leon spent 12 years in prison and halfway houses for a gang-related homicide. Since his time in prison, he's dedicated his life to making the world a better place. He is the founder of Steered Straight, which guides young people away from the dangers of drugs and criminal activity. As a motivational speaker, he has spent thousands of hours talking to millions of young adults, and he has worked tirelessly to help people suffering find the road to recovery.
Seabrook has been helping families find the courage to recover from alcoholism, drug addiction, and other co-occurring disorders for nearly half a century. Our programs include the Family Matrix program that allows families to heal and begin to strengthen the family bonds strained by addiction. Seabrook has 5 locations throughout New Jersey with inpatient rehabilitation, extended care, and outpatient treatments. If you or a loved one is suffering from addiction, please call or visit us online today. Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Hi, Comfort Bob. If you're looking for a product or contractor, chances are you're going online to check out reviews. Get everybody's opinion of how they do their job. If there's a good quantity of reviews, it's a pretty good indication of how they do what they do. Check us out online. Comfort now, because you deserve Comfort Now.
Comfort Now by Bob McAllister, because you deserve Comfort Now. 609-400-1005.
My name is Dan Gattuso, owner of Dry Guys Basement Systems. We cover all of southern New Jersey and southeast Pennsylvania. One of our biggest parts of our industry is basement and crawl space waterproofing. We offer things that nobody in that industry can. There's a lot of patented products we use that actually allows you to straighten your walls even over time. If you have a bowed wall, we can straighten it out for you. We're not afraid to stand behind products we know are the best in the industry.
ACUA is working to keep Atlantic County clean and green with its electric car charging stations, wind and solar projects, and state-of-the-art recycling program. ACUA also works to keep litter out of our communities through its Adopt a Road program. ACUA is dedicated to making Atlantic County and our world a better place. To learn more, visit acua.com.
This Road to Recovery show is brought to you by Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Welcome to the Road to Recovery. I'm Michael De Leon, your host, and I'm so excited today to bring you not only a friend, but someone who's tirelessly working in this field, in this issue of addiction and recovery in America, Frank Jones. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. And what Frank is doing is Recovery Reform Now, a nonprofit, and it's a 501c4, yep. And based here in New Jersey, but doing things across the country, working with legislators from a state and a federal level. Some exciting things to announce about what's happening and what you've been working on. But I guess in a nutshell, maybe we should talk about Recovery Reform Now and what it is and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Certainly want to get the message out there. Recovery Reform Now is, we set it up as a nonprofit, a C4, which is much different than many nonprofits that operate under a C3 status. Now, under the C3 status, the IRS has very tight restrictions on what can and can't be done. And as much as a C4 is a social welfare organization, we're able to be a little bit more flexible with regard to being somewhat politically active. And in essence, we want to inform the public, we want to advocate for policy reforms, and we want to educate people on what's really going on, both in the recovery world as well as within the epidemic.
For solutions, obviously.
Absolutely.
So, and what is kind of your motivation, I guess, behind doing this? Where did this all begin for you?
I think it's a similar story that many people have, similar to yours, except for the fact that, well, let's just say it comes from a place of pain. So years ago, I had a younger brother, Nicky, who I've spoken with, and he knows that I speak about him publicly, so I'm not divulging any information that's not already known. I love him dearly, but the family went through the process of dealing with addiction before we understood addiction. And my wife and I got married young, ended up completely bankrupt in our mid-20s because we threw money at the issue. And it was banging our head up against the wall trying to get help and trying to get him help. And that entire circle of pain just got worse and worse and worse. And so that's going on, and in conjunction with my career taking off. And I work a lot with healthcare. I'm in the insurance business. We have an independent agency. I'm a partner at Mintz Agency right in Millville. We operate across the country, work with many, many medical facilities, including a whole host of rehabs. And so in dealing with the CEOs of these rehabs and understanding the battle to get my brother through the doors, I was able to really talk shop with a lot of CEOs and learn their business and see that almost every single one of them, it was a battle to get people on the outside, inside for treatment. And through the years, to shorten the story, was I had become a lobbyist and I've been lobbying for many years. And I have relationships with legislators. And I thought that the dots were too closely connected, and I wanted to do all that I could to take away the pain of people dealing with it right now. So I formed Recovery Reform Now. I have a great host of, it's a leadership board is what we have. We have a full board of directors, but we have a leadership board which includes the likes of a number of the members of the Baldwin family, who have they're probably the greatest commitment to the addiction epidemic, far greater than anybody else I've experienced. Alec, Daniel, Elizabeth, Beth Baldwin, committed to this, and many other folks across the country who have said, we're in it for the right reasons, let's do what we can now.
Right. And so the policies and the mission of Recovery Reform Now to change the way we handle addiction and recovery in America, is that?
It's actually, what the initial intent of the organization was to remove the access barriers to treatment. There's a plethora of things that go along with that, right? So one of the main things is, being 23 years in the insurance industry, and I've served in leadership in the industry for many years, I understand the industry.
Right.
And so when we deal with our insureds and clients who are frustrated by the games that are played, I know that what's going on. Insurance at the end of the day, Michael, is a financial animal, period. So they're managing the healthcare spend, certainly on the healthcare insurance carrier side. And so we have federal law that says, carriers, you need to respond to behavioral and mental health issues to the same level that you do with physical health issues.
Right, parity.
Absolutely, mental health parity laws. And so they're not adhering to them. And as a matter of fact, many carriers, they don't mind the appeals that come, because if they win, they financially gain greater than if they pay the cost of care. So it's an ongoing saga. The treatment facilities, the overwhelming majority of them are doing yeoman's work. I mean, they're doing everything they can to help those that come through their doors. The carriers like to play games. They have crazy denials. Christmas Eve morning, 2016, I got a message from a parent who was given my number from somebody out in the Midwest. I need help. My daughter, who's 6 months pregnant, has been a heroin addict for, I think it was 16 years. She's using needles. They fly her to a facility. This woman is there less than 24 hours. The family then gets notified that the daughter's being released because she has a clear mind. And it's not medically necessary. So the carriers use medical necessity to kind of get off of claims.
Right.
It's an awful game, but access barriers to treatment exist in many different facets. Another thing that exists is the insurance carriers, either themselves or through a third-party auditor, will do perform these things called post-payment audits or clawbacks. So if I go to get treatment, I go to the treatment center. They get me in before I get to go through detox. The treatment center has to call the insurance company and say, "Hey, John Smith is here." Give them all the details.
Right.
The carrier says, "Okay, clear to go." Go from detox then to inpatient. They have to call again. They get approval for a certain set of days, and all throughout that care continuum, the facility has to keep calling the insurance carrier to get approval for each step of the way. And so what the carriers have been doing lately, and it must be simply, not it must be, I know for a fact it is, it's a revenue focus for them. They'll go to a facility after taking a sampling of patient files, Michael,
Right.
And they'll say, listen, we've reimbursed you over the last 6 years. For ease of math and for ease of the viewers, because I'm not really great with all this crazy math, we just use real easy numbers. We reimbursed you $6 million over 6 years. You've overbilled us 20%. We want $1.2 million back today. Now, you can write us a check for the 1.2. You can tap a credit line, or you can work for us, the insurance carrier, the health insurance carrier, for free until it's paid up.
I mean, this is chaos, and what's going on in the insurance industry is out of control. We need to talk about this, and we'll be back right after this.
When my son came to me and told me he was an addict, I was terrified. Watching someone go through addiction is absolutely horrifying. The Recovery Centers of America are not just there for your loved one, but there for you. When you walk through the doors of Recovery Centers of America, you're greeted not just by a receptionist, but with a smile, with a helping hand. Having Recovery Centers of America pretty much right down the street, I was able to go twice a week. They provide a family group for the families. That first day I walked in to today has brought me so much hope and so much peace to look back and see the new family walk in, that I'm able to be there to say, you're not alone.
If someone you know is suffering from heroin, opioid, or alcohol addiction, call 1-800-RECOVERY and recover more than you can imagine.
ACUA is working to keep Atlantic County clean and green with its electric car charging stations, wind and solar projects, and state-of-the-art recycling program. ACUA also works to keep litter out of our communities through its Adopt a Road program. ACUA is dedicated to making Atlantic County and our world a better place. To learn more, visit acua.com.
Hey Dad, what's changed since you started in this business 50 years ago?
Well, they invented the computer, which certainly transformed our business. What hasn't changed, Tom, is the most important part, taking care of our clients during some of their most challenging times. I'm Tom Heist III.
And I'm Tom Heist IV.
And we thank you for your business and friendship over the past 50 years.
Thomas Heist Insurance Agency.
This Road to Recovery show is brought to you by Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Back on the road to recovery with Frank Jones, Recovery Reform Now, and it's frustrating, clawbacks and what's going on with the insurance industry. I mean, it's horrible, and I don't want to demonize the insurance industry, but we have problems that could be solved, and they don't want to see them solved, right? Is there incentive to solve the problem?
Insurance carriers, by and large, whether we're talking about health carriers or property casualty or whoever it is, whatever segment of the business is, they're managing finances. So if there's a financial angle, if you will, to take, the carriers respond. It's invalidating that. That is the challenge. For example, we know that the numbers of anywhere from 4 to 6 times the cost exist, healthcare cost, to care for somebody in addiction versus somebody who is not in addiction.
That makes sense, right?
So that's a big time spent.
Right.
So if that could be validated, and there have been a number of studies that have put forth some really challenging, honest data that says here is what we're spending. If we could get these folks well, we would certainly gain financially. And to present that to the insurance carriers, it is a challenge. I mean, you're talking about massive, massive companies where, 0.5% makes a big dent over the long haul.
But if we're spending money to send people to treatment over and over and over again, and they're not getting well, and then they lose their life, I mean, we're really wasting a lot of money.
We are, Michael. The initial treatment model of 28 days was developed from the military, I believe, in the late 60s. And unfortunately, we've been through it. You have the hope when your loved one says, hey, I'm ready. And you know as well as anybody, when you're ready, that's the time you have to act.
On demand, right away.
Absolutely. So getting them in 28 days later, addiction is a symptom of a greater root issue, by and large. I won't say exclusively, but I will say that the overwhelming majority of time, there's a root cause. And so if you don't give that client, that patient, the time to get to that root cause, you're going to have the national average of 6.7 times through rehab facilities, because it's a 28-day stint, and it's a 28-day stint, and now it's getting shorter. Maybe if you're lucky, you get a 17-day stint. And 28 days may be just enough to clean your system, but it's certainly not enough to get you well.
And this is a huge endeavor. I mean, in Recovery Reform Now and the board and the leadership that you've put together, I mean, you've taken this on, right? Taking this by the throat, not the tail. I think that's kind of a good way to explain it. We're taking addiction by the tail and we're all hanging on. And the only way we're going to solve this is to grab it by the throat, right?
Yep.
And so what do you want people to know about what you're doing and how people can help and get involved and, you know?
Well, from inception to today, the organization has developed quite nicely. And really what we have positioned in the marketplace and our push in state houses across the country is recovery to reentry. We know that the quickest way to recidivism is lack of gainful employment. So one of the things that I'm excited to talk about today is a program that is a federal program that we have gained to have successfully put in the purview of the federal government, and the pilot project, the City of Camden, where a lot of redevelopment is happening. The city has turned around a great deal. It's on its way to getting even better, not just from a business perspective in bringing businesses in,
right.
But even in lifting the city itself. So that pilot project is going to incorporate federal dollars that will incentivize employers to hire those in recovery. It will supplement the efforts of the workforce development offices, certainly the Camden County Workforce Development Office. It's going to be a pilot. I'm already past the pilot. I know it's going to be successful in Camden. It will also supplement treatment providers. And so what we want to do is take care of that full, in essence, that life cycle, if you will. Get them treatment, really, quite honestly, divert them from jail time when necessary for those who, with possession, low-level nonviolent offenders, get them to treatment, take them from treatment through workforce development, retrain them, and provide outpatient services, and then place them successfully in an employer that gets it, that understands it, and is looking to pour back into people.
This is exciting. I mean, so it's a recovery jobs program.
Yes.
And the pilot is in Camden, New Jersey, and Recovery Reform Now was instrumental in getting this done.
Absolutely, start to finish. Now, one caveat, it hasn't started yet. The Senate bill is expected to drop, actually by the time of this airing, it will have dropped. And so we're thrilled with it. I know the City of Camden is very, very happy with it. And all the stakeholders in Camden who have been doing everything they could to lift the city are very, very happy that it's going to happen in Camden.
Phenomenal. And number 1, 2, and 3 for sure factors in lowering recidivism out of incarceration or out of addiction is employment, gainful employment, successful gainful employment. We'll talk more with Frank Jones, Recovery Reform Now, right after this.
Seabrook has been helping families find the courage to recover from alcoholism, drug addiction, and other co-occurring disorders for nearly half a century. Our programs include the Family Matrix program that allows families to heal and begin to strengthen the family bonds strained by addiction. Seabrook has 5 locations throughout New Jersey with inpatient rehabilitation, extended care, and outpatient treatments. If you or a loved one is suffering from addiction, please call or visit us online today. Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Hi, Comfort Bob. If you're looking for a product or contractor, chances are you're going online to check out reviews. Get everybody's opinion of how they do their job. If there's a good quantity of reviews, it's a pretty good indication of how they do what they do. Check us out online. Comfort Now, because you deserve Comfort Now.
Comfort Now by Bob McAllister, because you deserve Comfort Now. 609-400-1005.
What makes Inspiro innovative? The latest in surgical robotics. What makes us indispensable? Our nationally acclaimed breast center specializing in reconstructive surgery. What makes us incomparable? our national award-winning and comprehensive orthopedic center. It's in the people, it's in the legacy, it's in the network. Inspira Health Network, in it for you.
My name is Dan Gattuso, owner of Dry Guys Basement Systems. We cover all of southern New Jersey and southeast Pennsylvania. One of our biggest parts of our industry is basement and crawl space waterproofing. We offer things that nobody in that industry can. There's a lot of patented products we use that actually allows you to straighten your walls even over time. If you have a bowed wall, we can straighten it out for you. We're not afraid to stand behind products we know are the best in the industry.
This Road to Recovery show is brought to you by Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Welcome back to the Road to Recovery and Recovery Reform Now. Frank Jones. Up to this point, successful legislation as well. This is huge that's about to happen, but you've worked on other things and been successful with pushing things.
We have. So in New Jersey, Governor Christie moved very swiftly last year, in the last year of his term, to mandate that insurance carriers provide up to 6 months of coverage with not being able to weasel out of it on the basis of medical necessity and limiting utilization review. And that's that's ways that the insurance carriers walk away from covering. And so that bill, although it included many, many advocates in the state who were supporting it, was actually a bill that I helped literally craft with the Office of Legislative Services the year prior with a phenomenal Democratic assemblyman who's a brilliant guy, great attorney, and a politician that serves with his heart. And so, but political expediency came into play, which is great when political expediency and need meet up.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. And
doesn't happen too often.
It doesn't happen too often. So when it comes, you have to jump in that boat and celebrate. But Governor Christie, who has been committed to this issue, certainly more so the last half of his term, got it done. And so we count that as a major success, not only for New Jersey, but for the nation, because we're using that as a model as we're talking with other governors in other states. But you'll see news, again, by the time of this airing out in California, we have a very strong effort out there. In California, it's a different animal. You have a lot of resort-type rehabs that do great work. But where there's resort-type rehabs, you have a lot of folks that, if they're going to have help, they want it to come from Southern California, or really California, go out there and spend some time on the beach while they're getting well, which is fine. But it is a bit of a problem for patient brokering. People who will literally take folks out of a facility, get them high again, a few days, take them to another facility, and they're actually paid to bring those people to another facility. And that's patient brokering. So there's a bill that we've been working on. We have full support out there. Senator Lara is supporting that completely.
It's been a problem in California for years and years, and a huge problem in some areas of northern Arizona, Prescott. Very familiar with patient brokering, Texas, and it seems like Florida has become, especially southern Florida, has become the wild, wild west. And I'll say it publicly, it's out of control, and they're doing some things about it, but not enough.
No. That, in conjunction with some sober living legislation out in California, where there's money available, Michael, greed will play real evil games in people's minds and hearts. And so you have that going on out there. There's literally sober living homes, which are an integral part of the continuum of care to reintegrate people into the community.
Sure.
To live a lifestyle and a life in addiction, it changes you.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, very important part. It's not for everybody. And a year of treatment is not necessary for everybody. Our healthcare should be individualized, focused on the needs of Michael De Leon, Frank Jones, and the such. And so, but you have people out there again that are taking advantage of an unregulated environment and industry. And so we've worked with the legislature out there to introduce a very strong bill that will bring some regulation, necessary regulation. I'm not an over-regulation guy. I don't believe that regulation necessitates a greater industry in any way, shape, or form. Did I mention I'm from the insurance industry?
Sure.
Right? So, but it's necessary sometimes to protect people from other people.
Yeah, and when money's involved, that's a problem for greed and fraud, and the industry has been wrought with fraud, but so the whole medical industry has as well. We need a voice, and I think Recovery Reform Now really could be that voice to lead other people. And we'll talk more with Frank right after this.
When my son came to me and told me he was an addict, I was terrified. Watching someone go through addiction is absolutely horrifying. The Recovery Centers of America are not just there for your loved one, but there for you. When you walk through the doors of Recovery Centers of America, you're greeted not just by a receptionist, but with a smile, with a helping hand. Having Recovery Centers of America pretty much right down the street, I was able to go twice a week. They provide a family group for the families. That first day I walked in to today has brought me so much hope and so much peace to look back and see the new family walk in, that I'm able to be there to say, you're not alone.
If someone you know is suffering from heroin, opioid, or alcohol addiction, call 1-800-RECOVERY and recover more than you can imagine.
What makes Inspira innovative? The latest in surgical robotics. What makes us indispensable? Our nationally acclaimed breast center specializing in reconstructive surgery. What makes us incomparable? Our national award-winning and comprehensive orthopedic center. It's in the people, it's in the legacy, it's in the network. Inspira Health Network, in it for you.
This Road to Recovery show is brought to you by Seabrook, the heart of recovery.
Welcome back, The Road to Recovery. I'm with Frank Jones, Recovery Reform Now, and people should get involved, people should help, people can find out more information on your website, right?
Yes. When this organization was first founded, my wife and I agreed to fund it for the first 2 years, which we did. And so every bit of effort that was done, we gladly funded. But as the organization has grown and the efforts have grown to multiple states, and we have folks that work with us in every state that we're active in, and we're not active in every state, not all 50 states have feet on the street per se, but the states that we're engaged in do have what we call friends who are assisting us in the efforts because we can't be everywhere all the time. And so starting in January of 2018, we have gone to the public and to industry and to those that are aware that there is an epidemic of, quite honestly, cataclysmic proportions that we're dealing with here in the United States. And it affects everyday life, from your work life to your personal life. There's nothing that's untouched.
Right.
And so we're asking people who have a desire to help to go to our website at recoveryreformnow.org, recoveryreformnow.org, and donate. It doesn't matter if it's $1, $5, or if it's a large amount of money. I will meet with you gladly and explain to you exactly what we're doing with your money. And so it's not buying politicians, it's not games are being played.
We can't just be a nation of complainers, you know. It's about collaboration over complaints. It's about, you know, I hate when people say somebody should do something about this. Well, here's somebody doing something about it. I'm doing something about it. We need help. Go to recoveryreformnow.org. Learn more about what we're doing at Recovery Reform Now. Learn what Frank's doing, how you can help, because we have to, it's all hands on deck right now.
Yes.
That's what we need to do. We need to solve this problem. We can solve this problem. We will solve this problem with people like Frank Jones and Recovery Reform Now. Please check out the website. Please donate what you can. Frank, thanks so much for,
having me.
joining us today. Back on the Road to Recovery next week, I'm Michael DeLeon.